I'm writing this because I'm backed into a corner. There's a camera trained on me and I have nowhere to go. If anyone ever reads this, know that there's something evil going on in Port Leyland. I don't know what, and I'm scared that I won't live long enough to find out. I'm sitting here helpless, a missing poster trembling in my hand as I write this with the other. The only thing I can do is leave this behind in the hope that someone can finish what I never meant to start. I'll go through what happened in as much detail as I remember so someone can make sense of this. I live in a small town called Port Leyland in northern Canada. It's undergone deindustrialization in recent years and has fallen into a state of disrepair. Long story short, there's an old FBI headquarters that was left abandoned 17 years ago. Without a silver of an explanation, the police department was just uprooted and moved to somewhere closer to the city. No one knows why, but of course, conspiracy theories are running rampant throughout the community. Some think the government is trying to cover something up. Nothing new has been built on the site, and we're better to hide top secret information than in an abandoned FBI building in a totally inconspicuous little town. I've been meaning to explore it since my early teens, but all of my friends discouraged me from going, so I've decided to explore it alone. I packed a bag this morning with some snacks and a water bottle, along with a head torch. I bought a mask from the local pharmacy. That old place is probably a gold mine of asbestos, fiberglass, and whatever the hell else. I had to wait until nightfall. Even though it's been abandoned for so long, it's still pretty heavily patrolled by undercover cop cars. When I arrive at the gate, it's 11:49 p.m. It's pitch black and the whole neighborhood is pretty much asleep. The cop cars that patrol this place take shifts, and I've observed I have around half an hour before the next one comes. There's a weakness in the wire gate close to the bottom, so I pull it up and push my backpack through. I crawl through the gap, the wire scratching at my clothes, but I manage to fit through. Being a petite woman has its perks. There's about 1 kilometer of dense forest surrounding the place, which I have to navigate. I wait until I'm a while in to turn on my head torch, just in case there are still cops around. The base should be just a straight line from here, so I trudge on. The night I chose is particularly dark, so I don't have to worry about anyone seeing me going into the forest. It gets super dark here super early in winter, which is perfect for my purposes. I can't help but notice how quiet it is in these woods. I haven't heard an owl or the footsteps of a badger slinking away. No cicadas, no crickets, nothing. The rest of the town is alive with wildlife at night, but this place has a kind of deafening silence about it. After walking on through the stretch of woodland for about 5 minutes, I'm stopped in my tracks. As I place my foot down ahead of me, I hear a sickening squelch followed by an unpleasant crunch. I recoil in horror, immediately pulling my foot away and stumbling back. It's a dead animal. Willing myself to look closer, I discover it's the rotting corpse of a fox. The smell is putrid, unlike anything I've ever smelled before. It smells like death, with a suffocating chemical smell hanging thick in the air. That's when I realize it has no head. What kind of animal could do that? There are no remnants of its decaying head, no bones, nothing. It's like something just ripped its head clean off. Deeply unsettled, I walk around it, covering my mouth and nose. I wipe my boot against some leaves, telling myself not to throw up. I'm perturbed by the fact the first animal I've come across is dead and decapitated, with a weird artificial smell coming from it. I decide that it's nothing and I'm probably just being paranoid. I'm not going to let anything discourage me from exploring this place after all. I watch my footing carefully for the remainder of the walk, trying to push the noises and the smell of that thing out of my mind. I eventually reach a clearing after what seems like hours of walking. The building is just a few yards ahead of me. It's surreal. I've only ever seen this place from afar, shrouded by trees. I've never even seen any pictures of it. It towers far above the trees, with concrete walls painted white, dirtied by years of disuse. The main door is chained up really tight, but I've heard rumors there's an entrance through the basement. I scout around the perimeter of the building. All the windows are barred up with thick iron, coated in a layer of flaking black paint. Some of the bars have been bent outwards. The glass in the windows is smashed. I take a closer look at one of the windows. That's weird, I think to myself. Most of the glass had fallen outwards onto the ground. That means the window was smashed from the inside. Why would someone want to break out instead of breaking in? Confused but still determined to find a way in, I carry on circling the building. I come across a pile of leaves and twigs and warily use my foot to brush them away. This reveals a hatch that I can only assume leads into the basement. I brush away the remaining leaves with my hands. It's worn and made of wood, with a small chain holding the handles together. It's thin and very corroded, so I begin searching for a large rock to break it. I find one, before putting on my mask and taking a deep breath in. I pin one side of the chain down with one of my hands, while I raise the rock above my head with the other. Trying to target a weakness in the chain, I bring the rock down as hard as I can. The chain breaks with a clatter. The impact from the rock has made a small hole in the hollow wood of the hatch. I wonder how much of this place is still intact. I carefully open the doors, my eyes doing one last sweep of the perimeter before I go in. Holding on tight to the edges of the hatch, I start to descend the rickety wooden staircase. Suddenly, the stairway gives in with a creak, sending me tumbling down to the ground. Plumes of dust flying into the air, filling my eyes, nose, and mouth. There's a pain shooting through my calf. I rub my eyes, desperately trying to see through the fog. I bring my knee up to my chest. There's a huge splinter sticking out of my calf. A pool of blood is quickly saturating my trousers. I look up at the opening. It was about 10 steps down, and it would be near impossible for me to climb up there, even without the splinter. I grip my teeth, debating whether or not to pull it out. Having an open wound in a place like this is hardly a small choice, but the intense burning continues throughout my leg. There's no way I can get home and bandage it up without going into the building. I decide to carry on. After all, I'm not going to let anything stop me from exploring this place. I pull myself up on one of the stairs that still remained intact. I stand there, hunched over for a moment, taking a deep breath in before continuing. I adjust my head torch and begin to navigate my surroundings. The basement is just rows upon rows of shelves, like the storeroom of a museum or an evidence locker. There are stacks of disintegrating cardboard boxes full of faded paperwork. Everything is coated in a blanket of dust. The pain in my leg begins to subside as I make my way through the labyrinth of shelves. There's something thrilling about imagining something lurking in the shadows. Adrenaline is what I live on. The cardboard being eaten away by little critters. The paperwork stacked in them is unintelligible police jargon. The beam of my head torch is illuminating the dust hanging thick ahead of me. I weave my way through the shelves up to a staircase leading up to the first floor. I warily walk up the stairs before emerging into a large space packed with desks and worn dividers. Everything has been left, dozens upon dozens of computers and desk chairs, falling into ruin, left to rot. Why wouldn't they take stuff like that with them? I walk up to one of the computers to take a closer look, reaching into my breast pocket for my phone to send pictures to my friends. When I look up, I see a little flicker of light. The webcam of the computer is on. I stumble backwards, out of sight of the camera to gather my thoughts. Why is electricity still running? It must be motion activated. I can't think of another explanation. But why? Something about this isn't right. I scan around for an exit, ducking behind the dividers in case there are more webcams switched on. I find my way into a small storage cupboard, hoping to find a floor plan. There's nothing, apart from a cleaning rota that hasn't been updated since 2003. There's a filing cabinet in the corner, with a mop and bucket leaning against it, with a few metal racks of cleaning supplies. All of the handles are blanketed in dust, apart from one. I pull the handle, revealing a column of yellow files. And amongst the old files, there's something poking out. It's bright red and I'm immediately drawn to it. I pull it out. It's an envelope. There's no name or address on the outside. I carefully open it up to reveal a sheet of paper inside. I grab the top and begin pulling it out. The word missing is emblazoned in the blank ink at the top. I continue pulling it. That's weird. It's dated today. I pull it up even further to reveal a picture. I feel my heart leap into my throat, my mind becoming hazy with thoughts, flying past too quickly for me to catch. I take a step back in pure horror. I'm snapped out of my daze by a small mechanical clicking noise. My eyes are drawn up to the corner of the ceiling. A security camera is rotating, focusing in with a blinking red light. I back against the wall and stare at the missing poster in disbelief, my blood running cold. The picture. It's me.